Everyone here is either a self-made millionaire or you intend to be in the future. Everybody loves the subject of becoming wealthy. And then I'm going to give you 7 keys to becoming an outstanding leader in this industry and to becoming one of the highest paid people in our society and becoming wealthy. And the wonderful thing is they're not complicated. In order to become a millionaire, you have to become a completely different person. You have to develop character beyond 99% of the people in the world. You have to develop honesty and discipline and quality relationships and the willingness and the ability to work and set priorities and all kinds of stuff, because without that, nothing is possible. It's the first one of all is dream big dreams. You couldn't believe it. Every single person who finally made it's at the turning point in their life. They were driving down the road of life, not making much progress, which is at the 80-20 rule that you hear. 80% of people make 20% of the money. And I'm sorry, 20% of the people make 80% of the money. And what happens at a certain point in life, they change and go on a different road. And here's the turning point. It is making a decision. Make a decision that I'm going to become wealthy. I'm going to become a millionaire, and I will work hard, long hours. I will sacrifice. I will pay the price. I will do everything that is necessary. So I wanted to share with you what I call the 7 C's. So the first C is the CSC of clarity. Clarity is my favorite word in success. It's my favorite word in business. I have done consulting for more than 1,000 corporations, large companies, worldwide companies like IBM, General Motors, PepsiCo, Bank of America. I mean big companies. And I've also worked with more than 10,000 small and medium-sized companies. And what I found is in every single situation, problems occur when the company becomes unclear about what it is they're doing or how it is they're doing it. And so I've developed a program, which is really just a fun program for me. It's actually called the 2-Day MBA, and it shows 10 different factors of a company. And these are the ones that I learned when I went back to the university in my 30s. And I find that all problems come from a lack of clarity. What is your product? The first question you ask. Who is your customer? What does your customer consider to be more valuable than anything else? How are you superior to your competitors? What can you do to attract more customers? How can you close those customers? Number 2 is write it down. Write it down. Write it down. There's nothing more important than writing down your goals, because if it's not written down, it's merely a fantasy. Now they've done a whole series of studies at Harvard and Yale and Cornell and so on, but the difference between students who type their notes and students who write their notes, the students who write their notes all get straight A's. Students who type their notes forget everything before the end of the day, because writing forces you to use 3 abilities. Your kinesthetic ability, your physical ability of writing, your audio ability. You see it when you're writing it, and your auditory ability, you say it to yourself when you're writing. So you activate the 3 major parts of your brain simultaneously, like a laser beam from a space station, onto a piece of paper, and your subconscious mind accepts it as a command. As a command, and your super God is just mind starts to work on it 24 hours a day. Just write it down, and it's the most amazing darn thing. If all you did was write down one goal and leave this conference, your life will be different forever. And because there are all kinds of things will start to happen, and you'll say, well, that's a coincidence. I just wrote that goal down when I was in that meeting this afternoon, and then I get this phone call or something in the mail, or I saw something on TV, or so it's just phenomenal. So step number 1, write. Decide what you want. Number 2, write it down. Number 3, set a deadline. Tell yourself when you want it. I want this by such and such a date. So every goal always ends with a use, by date. As in, I achieved this goal by this date, and you write it in the present tense. Step number 4 is make a list of everything that you could think of to do. Just make a list. And as you think of more things, add it to the list. Keep writing it down. And sometimes you think of something in the middle of the night. Write it down. Keep a pad of paper next to your bed and quickly write it down so you don't forget it. Just write it down. That's number 4. And this is really important. It's the great turning point, like a massive ship turning in the ocean. Your whole life starts to turn when you write down a list of the steps you're going to have to take. I don't recommend other people's books because I've read so many myself, and I summarize hundreds of books that I've read over the years. But there's one book that had a great influence on me, and it's called The Checklist Manifesto. Has anybody read this book? The Checklist Manifesto? It was written by a doctor, an emergency ward doctor, and he talks about the value of checklists when you are trying to accomplish a goal, build a business, raise a child, whatever you want to do. He says, create a checklist. He said, everything in the world, this room, car, or swimming pool, everything follows a checklist. Everything requires a checklist to build it. And the wonderful thing about organizing a checklist before you begin work on a project, it has an extraordinary effect on your life. And what he does is he teaches in the most entertaining way how people who do not use checklists died like bankrupt, the most successful people in finance in the world, how they use checklists in order to organize their financial life, business people. Anyway, it's the one book that I would recommend. It's a short book. It's just fascinating reading. It's called The Checklist Manifesto. Anyway, so take your list of rules and organize. Here, this is my priority. Make a checklist with what's number 1, what's number 2, what's number 3, and so on. And as you get more information, change the list. Reorganize it, write it, move things up and down. Step number 5 or step number 6 is to take action on your list. Take action on the most important thing on your list. Do something. Launch. Get going. Do it now. Do it immediately. Get up and do something. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be revising your papers, it could be making a phone call, it can be ordering a book, it could be something. But do something, which is sort of like the kickoff in a football game. Just kick the as far as you can. And number 7, and this is going to make you rich, happy, popular, and thin. Number 7 is do something every day on your most important goal. Do something every day on your most important goal. So here's the exercise I'm going to give you to take home with you and do when you leave us. And by the way, from now on, whenever you bring on a new person, put them through this exercise. If they will not go through this exercise, do not waste a minute of your time with them, because they will never be successful if they won't follow your guidance. And here's the exercise. Take a clean sheet of paper and write down goals and today's date. And then write down 10 goals that you would like to accomplish in the next 12 months. Don't worry about 2 years or 10 years or 5 years. Just 10 goals you'd like to accomplish in the next 12 months. And write them in the present tense, almost like you're submitting an order. And just write that: I earn, I achieve, I weigh, I drive such and such a car, I own whatever. It happens to be, and the goals will be financial goals, family goals, physical goals, and so on. Write down 10. And then you take this list of 10, and you say, if I had a magic wand and I could wave this magic wand and I could have any one goal on my list within 24 hours, which one goal would have the greatest positive impact on my life? Over it? And usually this will jump out at you. No. Jump back down at you like a spider in a horror movie. It will grab you and put a circle around that goal. And that's a goal you transfer to a clean sheet of paper. And then you follow the 7 steps. Write it down, set a deadline, make a list of everything you have to do to accomplish it, organize the list into a checklist, take action, and then do something every day. If you'll just do this simple exercise, then you'll all be rich. Nothing can stop you but yourself. So number 2, the second C, is the C of competence. And the C of competence says it's very simple, is that you can only earn a lot of money if you're very good at what you do. One of the most important things you do is you break down your work into skills, and you say, what are the most important skills I need to have to be successful? And recruiting is a very important skill. Training is an important skill. Managing, motivating is an important skill. Leading, supervising, important skills. So what you do is you think, what are the skills that I will need to be in the top 10% of my field? You don't have to be in the top 1%, just be in the top 10, because there are no successful people who are not good at what they do. They're good at what they do, and they are good at what they do because they work at it all the time. whether you're in sports or whether you're in music or chess or anything else, there's a wonderful study that's been written up, and it's called it'll come to me in a second. I find that because of these pains, my memory slips and it goes around in a circle like a merry-go-round, and it comes around again and it'll come back and there it is. But basically, what it said was, studying the most successful people, is that these people spend 4 more hours becoming good at what they do than average people. The other people don't do it, and that everybody has natural abilities, but the ones who use those abilities transform themselves by really, really working hard and becoming good one skill at a time. This is another thing that's really important. Don't try to be good at everything, because what happens is just breakdown. You're just overwhelmed yourself and you just give up. You say, oh, I tried that before, and because all skills are learnable and you can learn any skill that you want to learn. And if you just simply find out what others have done before you and practice it. And then I began to recruit other salespeople and teach them the same thing. I said, here's the product. Here's the advantages and benefits for our customers. And here's how to ask them to make a decision. And they became successful. Many of them today are millionaires and multimillionaires. Many of them own multiple businesses. And they've told me, they said, your training when I was in my 20s, going nowhere, broke, changed my life forever. And the most important thing was I got people just to make a decision. I asked them to make a decision. So many people in this room I know have a challenge with closing. We all do when we start off, but that's where you are now. But that's not where we're going to be 3 months from now. 3 months from now, you're going to be so dangerous, you need to be restrained for yourself and the safety of society, because you'll be able to close anybody on anything. And I'm not talking about pressure. I'm not talking about pressure. Do you know what good business is? Here it's helping. What you are is, you are great helpers. You're helping people to improve the quality of their lives and their health and their family. And so when you start to see yourself as a helper, your job is to help people understand how much better off their lives can be if they take your advice and guidance. That's what you do. Earl Nightingale said something many years ago. He said, you don't get what you want in life. He said, you get what you deserve. And so I began to study that, get what you deserve, deserve. And I found that deserve comes from the Latin, and it comes from the words do, which means from service, which means from service. And so you get what you want in life from service to other people. And so the people who serve the most people, the very best, are the ones who make the most amount of money in the shortest period of time. But here's something else. When you help other people improve the quality of your life, your self-esteem goes up and your self-confidence goes up, and you feel happy and you like yourself more and you like other people. It's the most amazing darn thing. You just put your life on this wonderful upward spiral by deserving that people will buy from you, by looking for ways to help them. How can I help this person to improve the quality of their life and their family and their work? So see yourself as a helper, and your job is to deserve more. And you'll find you look at the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates and the multimillionaires, who are individuals, and you think these people focused. They had this obsession with a product of some kind that would really help people to improve the quality of their lives. And that's all they think about and all they talk about. And the only people who succeed in those companies are people who have the same obsession with customer service. Tom Peterson, in his book In Search of Excellence many years ago, said the most important principle of all was the obsession with customer service. It's these most successful and highest paid people just serving people and helping people improve their lives all the time. So that's the most important level of competence that you want to achieve. First of all, you have clear goals, and then you say, what is it that I really, really love to do that really helps other people to improve the quality of their life? And how can I become really, really good at doing that more? The third CE is the C of concentration. And these are not necessarily in order, but in a way, these are. The C of concentration is your ability to focus, which we talked about before. It's your ability to focus single-mindedly on one thing at a time and to work on that one task until it's complete, and to discipline yourself not to do anything else or to become distracted by emails and bells and bips and noises and things like that. It's just the ability to focus like a laser beam on a single task. Clarity, be absolutely clear about your goals and what you need to do to achieve them, and confidence, become very good at your tasks. And number 3 is concentration. Concentrate single-mindedly on your most important task and stay with it until it's complete. By the way, I could speak for 2 days just on concentration. And I have taught these principles all over the world. That's all that you need. Start and finish your most important task. Number 4 is constraints. Now, constraints are a concept that was developed in Tel Aviv by a management consultant many years ago. And it says that between where you are today and where you want to be sometime in the future, a goal, there is always one constraint or choke point that determines the speed at which you get from here to here. That's the constraint. So the art of life is to identify the constraints that are holding you back from achieving the goals, and it could be something simple like finding a parking space. It could be something simple like getting your shopping done, and so on. Continually ask, what is the constraint or limiting factor? It's what they call the limiting factor between here and where you want to go. So you say to yourself, all right, you want to achieve a particular goal. So you ask yourself, what is the one factor that determines the speed at which you achieve that goal? What is the one factor that determines the speed at which you achieve it? And work with your downline, work with your consultants, work with other people, and help them to be absolutely clear. And don't try to change the world. Try to change one thing, one factor. Try to alleviate one time, and that'll change your whole life. So I'm going to give you the other principles that we have. Number 4 is constraints. Number 5 is continuous learning and development. Dedicate yourself to becoming better and better at what you do. It must be a part of your life. You must breathe in, breathe out, and learn new things. Self-made millionaires, self-made billionaires spend 60 to 90 minutes every day, spend 60 to 90 minutes every day studying their field. Warren Buffett was just relegated from number 3 to number 4 richest man in the world, and Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. Warren Buffett reads 5 to 8 hours a day. Warren Buffett reads 8 hours, 7 days a week. He reads all the time. Number 6 is commitment. And we know this because you've talked about it a lot. Commitment is pretty important. There's no success without commitment, without you putting your whole heart into what you're doing and putting your whole heart into what you're doing for a long time. But if you do, there is no limit on what you can accomplish. You get up in the morning and you make a decision that, my gosh, I am going to succeed in this business, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many hours a day. And number 7 is courage. And courage. Winston Churchill said, warrior courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues, for upon it all others depend. And in courage, what you have is 2 parts. The first part of courage is the courage to begin, to launch, to take a chance, to face failure and rejection, to try something with a very great possibility that you will fail and you'll feel embarrassed and upset. And your self-esteem will go down, and so on. But the second part of courage is persistence. It's the power to keep going and keep pushing yourself and driving yourself. So, how do you develop this unshakable quality of persistence, which will guarantee your success in life? Nothing could stop you if you don't quit. If you don't quit, then the only alternative is you must succeed. And eventually, you must succeed greatly. Well, great rule. You become what you think about, but you become what you say to yourself. So what you do is you say to yourself these magic words. You say, I never give up. Say it. Say, I never give up. Never give up.